If you have been following along with my room makeover series, then you know I've slowly been updating each room in my home. I have 2 spaces left on the main floor, and Mason's bedroom is up next. Now, Mason's room wasn't too bad, just a little bit plain. A lot of what's in here already is staying and just getting a little update. As a 12-year-old, he is ready for more of a teen space. These first few clips are a little bit dark. I should have turned the LED lights off so you could better see the space without that blue glow. As I've been going through each room, the floors are getting an upgrade as well. There were 5 different types of flooring on my main floor when we moved in, and I almost have them all matching now. Now, don't come at me in the comments for covering up original hardwood floors. You can see that they are seriously stained and scuffed up, and I would have needed to completely sand them down and restore them. I don't have the time for that, nor did I want to do the work. So instead, I'm laying down this floating flooring over top. If the next owner wants to restore the hardwood floors, they can easily pull these up and nothing will be damaged further. Mason helped to get all the baseboards off so we could get started on the floors, and rather than take everything out of his room, we just moved the furniture from one side to the other. Putting these floors down is super easy. They're tongue and groove, and I find it easiest to work left to right so that the groove you can see on one end of the board is visible. Then you place the next board into the groove of the one before it. Sometimes you have to wiggle that board in a little bit to make sure it's in. Then I take a scrap piece of the flooring and a rubber mallet to make sure it's locked in place. They do make specific tools for this part. My husband and I had tried them a while back and they kept chipping off parts of the flooring, so this method worked better for me. With one cosmetic job complete, it's time to paint the walls. We probably should have painted before the flooring, but that's okay. Mason really wanted the floors done first, so I went with it. There's one wall in his bedroom where the paint was just all bubbled up on the surface. The entire wall looked like this. I thought maybe it was something we did wrong the first time that we painted his room, so I got out my multi-tool and started scraping at the bubbles to remove them and flatten the surface before we paint again. Otherwise, it's just going to enhance the problem. You guys, I was completely shocked by what I found underneath of the paint. It looks like a little kid at one point in time had a field day with crayons. The entire surface of this wall was covered in crayon. No wonder the paint bubbled when you put latex over top of a wax. But I didn't want to completely peel it all back to the drywall. So I smoothed out all of the bubbled areas and we're gonna pray it doesn't happen again. I will need to smooth out those bubbled areas a little bit more using some joint compound. Hopefully this provides a good barrier between the crayon wax and the paint. Later that day, after the joint compound dried, I sanded the wall down. You want to wear a mask when doing this so you don't breathe in all those tiny dust particles. And I didn't need to sand the wall completely smooth because these walls had a slight texture to them, so I just sanded any harsh edges. And now it's time to paint. I did wash the walls down, but didn't record that part. Mason wanted an off-white color. I know that seems kind of odd for a preteen boy, but he chose the color Timeless White by Sherwin-Williams. The white really helps his LED lights to look more vibrant. wasn't a huge change to the old wall color, which was a light bluish gray, but it really did help brighten up his room. Now we can get to the fun stuff like building the new furniture. Mason designed his whole room himself, and everything we did was his idea, and he really wanted an IKEA desk space with 2 Alex drawer units as legs and a desktop added on top. This is the typical setup that you see a lot of YouTubers use, and it's pretty affordable for a desk of this size. Mason wanted the desktop to be raised off of the surface of the Alex drawers a little bit, so we had got these risers off of Amazon. Then we just screwed them into the Alex drawers so they didn't slide around. Before I finish all the fun stuff and start decorating, I want to share some easy things you can do to update a bedroom on a budget. The first one is to update your doorknobs. Depending on the age or the style of your home, you may have those more traditional looking doorknobs that are very basic. You can easily upgrade the knobs to a more modern finish or whatever fits your style. In most cases, you can simply unscrew the old plate, swap it out for a new one. I love these oil rub bronze sleek knobs and have been adding them to all of the interior doors in my house. Another thing you can do, which I understand not everyone would be comfortable doing, but you can swap out the outlets and outlet covers. I've been updating all of our light switches and outlets in each room from these circular looking ones to the more rectangular modern ones. Once you know how to do this, swapping out an outlet really is easy. Just always make sure your breaker is off so you don't get hurt. The last thing is slightly more involved, but most of the windows in my house don't have a frame around them. I thought adding a little frame would elevate the space. And I apologize, this lighting is terrible since the light coming from the window is just washing everything else out, but bear with me for a moment. I used 1x2 MDF boards and mitered the top at a 45-degree angle. The bottom is straight and in line with the windowsill that's already there. I filled all of the gaps in with caulk. This is my favorite part because caulk really does make everything look better and gives a more professional finish. Alright, back to the furniture building. The only other new piece we got is this Billy bookcase, again from IKEA. Mason wanted somewhere to display some of his favorite objects like this Iron Man mask that he built, which you'll see that in a little bit. I got 4 of these cube storage bins for the bottom of the bookcase, so I placed the shelves slightly above the bins for this section. Now, I don't love the look of these bookcases when the shelves are all evenly spaced, so I added in a narrow section where Mason can put his Xbox. Of course, this is just personal preference. Style your shelves however you like. With all the new furniture built, it's time for the final details. Of course, the LED lights had to go back up. We had accidentally bought way too long of a length for the strip lights, so we added them around the baseboards and door trim as well. We had these cheap looking shelves in Mason's room before where he wanted to display all of his baseball trophies and memorabilia. I had just taken a 1x4 and added some brackets to it, but he wanted to upgrade these to floating shelves from, you guessed it, IKEA. With all of the technology in our homes these days, there are tons of cords everywhere. I found a few helpful solutions on Amazon to try and contain some of the mess. Mason really does have a lot of things going on with cords everywhere, so we didn't get it completely clean, but better than it was. This first one is a corner cable concealer. We thought it would hide the strip light so you don't see them in this one corner where it connects the top to the bottom, but that didn't really work. This is still a great option if you have cords going up the corner of a wall that you want to hide. Next, I got one of these outlet towers. Mason has a ton of electronics on his nightstand, including the Wi-Fi router. This is the best place in our house and it makes sure that we have optimal service, so it does need to stay here. He also needs to charge his cochlear implant batteries every night. So those two things add even more cords than usual. Of course, the desk area is full of cords hanging everywhere. This time I'm leaving the long power strips and I bought a cord box from Amazon to hide everything inside. It has holes in the back so you can put the lid on and the cords can still come out. It doesn't clean it up entirely, but it helps a little. I had to prop it up on this little footstool because the one cord didn't quite reach the floor, and then I stuffed everything inside. Now for the final touches. And yes, Mason actually asked for plants in his room. Only this one is real and I told him I would water it, but I guess my love of plants has rubbed off on him. Now, Mason has a very minimal and modern decor style. He actually didn't love all of the stuff that I put on his bookshelves, but I convinced him to leave it for a little bit, see if he changes his mind, and if not, he can change it up. The corner between the desk and the bookshelf needed something, so I found this little table at Hobby Lobby on clearance, and I loved the shape for this spot. I also gave him my faux fiddle leaf fig, and it looks great here. Lastly, we hung his TV on the wall so all of the electronics are in one location. I think we hung it a little bit high. It was hard to judge exactly where we were putting it, but it still sits nice.